I've got 3 rolls for you on the tower. They correspond to a question, and whatever I roll for you, that's where we start.
Okay, great.
If you could learn a new skill or about a different profession through a role, what would you choose and why?
Oh, wow. I think probably if I could be in a movie and play a chef, but actually learn how to cook and culinary skills, I'd love that.
Can you give us one audition high, but then also one audition low and what you learned from it that you were able to apply to future auditions?
Oh, wow. One audition high, I have gone into the audition room before and booked it in there. So that has been pretty cool to go in and you don't know what to expect and you get the part there. That's awesome. And then one audition low, I don't think I can have a specific instance where it was a low, but sometimes you just some days are better than others, some are not. So when your performance is not as great as you wanted it to be, that could be a low, but you dust yourself off and you go to the next audition and you try to be better.
There is a zombie outbreak. You could pick 2 past co-stars to team up with. Who do you choose to give yourself the best chance of surviving?
Oh. This is a lot of pressure. I think I would choose Bloodsport from Suicide Squad, so Idris Elba, to help me out on a zombie apocalypse. He's strong, he knows what he's doing, I'll feel protected. And then I think Rue could get rowdy and scare the zombies off. So Rue, me, Bloodsport, one heck of a team.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back for a new edition of Collider Ladies Night. I am beyond thrilled to get to welcome Storm Reid to the show. Congratulations on Missing and Everything.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
What was the movie you saw, the performance you saw, personal experience you had that first made you say to yourself, I absolutely have to be an actor and nothing else?
Wow. Well, I started acting at 3. So that was a while ago, but I was always obsessed with movies, specifically Matilda. And I just love Matilda. And I don't think Matilda made me want to act, but it really did make me fall in love with movies. And then fast forward, seeing people like Z on television and on Disney Channel, it gave me hope oh, I could do that too.
You started out really, really young, and I don't know how much of this you're able to process then, but as you start to work on professional projects, do you remember when acting first felt like a creative itch that you needed to keep scratching, where something just clicked so right and you knew you needed to keep chasing that feeling?
Yeah, I think when A Wrinkle in Time came out, and I realized that my career was bigger than myself and that I was inspiring young people, specifically young girls that looked like me. I was like, oh, this is not something that I'm just doing to pursue my dreams and my passions. This is something that is impacting others and impacting audiences. And I could really, help people with my storytelling. And I think that's really cool. So that's when I was like, oh, I've got to continue to do this. I want to go harder. I want to, make all my dreams come true.
So again, you started out really, really young, and I'm sure you had a whole bunch of wonderful experiences working as a child actor. But as you grow up in this industry, is there a particular project that you would credit as the one that, I guess, made you feel like an adult for the very first time on set, where you started to notice your creative input was being heard in a different way?
I experienced that on A Wrinkle in Time, thankfully. Even though I was only 13, Miss Ava made it a goal for her and made it a vital thing that we were able to be collaborative, and that she poured into us. And of course, she's an amazing director, and there are some specific things that she wanted, but she let us play. And I'm grateful that I got that opportunity at such a young age, because that gave me the confidence to be able to go to other sets now that I'm a young adult, and I could be like, well, how about this idea? Or this is what I think about my character. So I got to experience that quite early.
Speaking about how that kind of vibe extends to the entire company, not just the cast, if you had the opportunity to learn about one behind the scenes job, which one would you pick and why? Something that you don't know much about, but you would love to learn more about.
Ooh, I would say sound. I think sound is very intriguing to me because I'm always on set and I know that like the boom operators are there to like make sure that we can be heard, but I just would like to just have a crash course of like the sound mixing that they're doing and the how it relates to the camera and the slate. It's just all a very, very cool thing that I love to learn more about.
The sound department feels to me like an unsung hero on a set because it like you can't just have good sound. You have to have perfect sound.
Like,
otherwise it's
immaculate
noticeable.
sound.
And
Right.
literally anything could ruin that sound.
Exactly.
I don't think whether it's in this industry or any industry for that matter, people tell each other good job nearly enough. I think we need to be saying that more to one another. So can you give me an example of a time on any film, on any show that you saw a co-star just go like above and beyond, really crushing a tough scene, and you were really proud of what they did?
All the time. I think I experienced that on every set that I am on. Most recently, I was filming The Nun 2 in France, and my co-star was the incomparable Taissa Farmiga, and she is like brilliant always, but there are a few scenes where she would do, and I just like shake my head and be like, you just killed that, like amazing job, like you go girl. But I love giving people their flowers. It's motivating, it's empowering, and it's cool to see people be good at what they're doing.
You got to give yourself some flowers too. I'm genuinely a big believer that we aren't proud enough of ourselves nearly enough too. So looking back on everything you've worked on, is there any particular scene that comes to mind that makes you say like, damn, I'm really proud of what I did in that moment?
I would say season 2, the fight scene between Gia and Rue. That's a scene that I'm really proud of because it wasn't scripted. Sam just basically said, go in there and fight. And we did it, and it was so beautiful, so raw. And I think that's probably one of my favorite things that I've done because it was just so real and so uncut and so emotional. And I love that scene.
I don't blame you. I am still in awe of the performances across the board on that show. I'll stick with Euphoria for a moment. Looking back to the very beginning of the show, what would you say is the biggest difference between who you pictured Gia to be when you were first given the role and who she's become in season 2 of the show?
Ooh, I don't think I really had any expectations for Gia, really. I don't think I had really any expectations for her. I knew that she was, kind of going to be in the background, not doing as much as her sister is doing, obviously, thank God. But she's a little sister, but I think she depicts somebody who is affected by a family member who is struggling with addiction and mental challenges so beautifully, and I'm so glad that I get to play her and that I have gotten to play her, and hopefully in season 3 we get to really see her become a young person that has emotions, that has feelings, that is more vocal about how she is feeling, and then the overarching hope for Euphoria season 3 would just be more grace, more hope, more levity, more joy, because it's hard. It's
A lot. I understand those wants and hopes for the next season. Yeah. So you just brought up the idea of her being able to use her voice a little more and expressing how she's feeling in the new season. But thus far, you've done an exceptional job of giving us access to her headspace without actually being able to convey how she's feeling via dialogue. So what kind of homework can you be doing on your own so that even though she's not saying these things, we can still feel them informing your performance?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just me as a person, Storm, being affected by the circumstances in which my character is in, or specifically Gia is in. I mean, it's absolutely heartbreaking, and I'm usually able to snap out of it when something's emotional. Like I can cry and then go back to laughing and giggling on set when the director calls cut. But I was so emotionally invested in season 2, and so just taken aback by everything that I appreciate Euphoria for what it is and the emotions that it provokes in me. And, I think a lot of that comes from working with Z, who I look up to and admire and love so much. And I think the relationship that we all have, Nika King, Zendaya, and me, we really love each other and we really care about each other. And I think that's why our scenes are so real and so emotional and so uncut and raw, because this is how we're really feeling.
Always love hearing about that kind of connection and vibe on a set.
Mm-hmm.
You just brought up being able to cry, to turn that on. And it always makes me wonder what's like a seemingly silly day-to-day thing that people do that challenges you? Like the idea, like you can cry, but like the idea of, I don't know, like fake sneezing, fake coughing, pretending to be cold, like something silly like that.
Being
Driving.
being funny, I think is the biggest thing for me. Cause like people say that I'm funny, but I don't try to be funny. I think that's just me. And like in certain moments, I'm like, oh, like, yeah, that was real funny, Storm. But if I tried to be funny, I'm not funny. So I wish I had the effortless like thing of being a comedian,
Of all the actors that you've worked with in the past, who's someone who has a very similar process where the second you hit set, you two were immediately in sync, but then who's somebody else out there who works in a completely different way and challenged you to adapt and maybe adapt and try something new for the better?
As an actor, actor or actress, I think it is important to give your scene partner space and give your scene partner grace. It is not my responsibility, or it is not my goal to try to match the energy of my scene partner as far as methods. You are able to do what you do so brilliantly and so beautifully with your process and how you connect with your scene partner and how you kind of take a moment if you're being emotional, and other people have their own methods and processes. So I can't really point out particular people who have kind of matched my energy or haven't matched my energy, if that makes sense, because I think everybody is entitled to their own process. And as long as we're on screen and we're able to gel when the director calls action and we're able to listen to each other and be true scene partners and be supportive of one another, I think that's all that matters.
I like that approach to it. Now, kind of taking a broad look at the directors you've worked with, is there any particular director who wanted you to do a certain something to prepare for a role that now you've kind of adopted and you still do to this day when you prepare for your roles?
No, I don't think so. But I love when directors like for their actors to forge a connection and a bond before you get on set. I think that's so valuable and can make or break a film or a television show. So I really just do admire when directors allot time in the schedule for people to get to know each other and create bonds before getting on camera, and making sure that it feels real and there's an actual, true, genuine bond there.
I feel like that adds, we only get to see short snippets of characters' lives in films. And when you have that approach to it, there's something about it that makes their lives feel full and like they have history.
Exactly.
That idea takes us into Missing quite nicely, because I found that with June, that even though we only experienced this very big event, but this single event in her life, her world feels so whole to me, and I could feel the history of her relationships driving this whole narrative and her choices in it. So what kind of backstory details did you have to come up with that maybe aren't said on screen, but we can feel informing her decisions throughout the movie?
Yeah, I mean, we meet June and she's just a stubborn young teenager who butts heads with her mom like any other typical teenager. But I think the relationship that June and her mom had when June was a little bit younger, I try to think about that a lot, to think about the love that June has for her mom, despite the going back and forths and her getting older. Like, she loves her mom, and her mom is the only parent that she has. So she goes to bat to go find her. Or, just the emotional stakes that June has to go through, and her kind of having to stay grounded and cool and calm and collected throughout the film to be able to hopefully find find her mom, I think is something that I had to really think about. In June is a typical teenager, and she doesn't really know what's going on. So I think I just tried to channel that energy as much as possible, even though we do get to only see one event, like you said.
I admire June's calm. I'm pretty computer savvy. I'd probably be able to figure some stuff out.
Yeah.
I don't think I could keep my cool in a situation like that. Would do me in.
Oh, me either. I would lose my mind. 15 minutes in, I'm like, where's my mom? Like, oh my God.
This type of movie requires a very specific production process, but is there a new acting tool in your toolkit, so to speak, that you can credit to working this way on Missing that you're excited to apply to future projects?
Yeah, I mean, I think the challenges of the technical aspects of the movie, where I really had to, be in front of a computer and not have a scene partner, or like listen to someone scream lines from another room. It was hard, but I think it prepared me, or is going to prepare me for roles that are a little bit more isolated, or that don't have a big cast, or I'm not around a lot of people. So I'm thankful for the process, the film process that I went through, and journey I learned through this movie.
Storm, past, present, and future, just you're delivering so much. And I know it's going to keep happening down the line. So huge congratulations on Missing and everything you've accomplished thus far.
Thank you so much. So nice to speak with you.